Today I want to take a look at an update to the Turbo SQL to SharePoint list sync. So this PowerShell file is intended to read a SQL table on-premise and push that into a SharePoint Online list. It's a synchronization engine to read SQL and push into SharePoint Online Cloud. I made an update to the script, a couple of them. Thought I'd give you guys a brief code tour with the changes. In the main PowerShell file, we now have two files, PowerShell and an XML configuration. In the main PowerShell file, I brought the function for main to a much smaller format. And what we're doing here, really the key is line 194. And if you look at 194, we're reading in an XML config file, and we're looping all of the mapping objects to execute a process function. The process function is where all of the previous logic lives, and this gives us XML support for multiple mappings. The first release of the PowerShell was a single mapping only. We now have multiple mapping support with XML. Taking a look at the XML, we can see that we have one SQL source, one SharePoint destination, and one mapping, but this is designed in a way that will support multiples, and it allows for reuse. So if you have maybe 3 or 4 mappings that are all using the same source SQL, the same destination SharePoint list, but maybe we have various tables. I mean, you can have that design where you're synchronizing, multiple different tables, but you're trying to bring them from the same SQL database to the same SharePoint site. That works, and that works perfectly well. The format of the mapping is pretty specific. It has the query, which is our essential for reading the source data, and then it has the source destination pair, and it also gives us a primary key in the name of the list. So essentially, what data are we working with, which list are we wanting to put it into, and then the source destination really go to the site and the database level. So this allows us to use multiple tables in the same database, going to the same SharePoint site, and really build something that's flexible and scalable. The XML design comes into play on the main function where we first read the content, we do a for each on the mappings. The mappings have names, and we're going to do a lookup to find those particular names. So we're going to take the mapping source, mapping destination, and those are going to be lookups against all available source and destinations to get a little detail of what we're trying to work with. The execute of the process sync will only need 3 particular items, source destination and the mapping. Those are high-level objects, and when we right-click the process function, go to definition, expand it to drill in, what you'll see is it's really parsing out those XML objects with their various parameters and properties as to what a source and what a destination need for their individual attributes. So that's the latest. This gives us support for multiple mappings, multiple databases, multiple SharePoint sites, and something scalable where you really don't have to come into the PowerShell file for editing anymore. The XML file has exactly the same name. This is going to be the location that drives the process. And that allows for a little safer editing where we're modifying the XML file configuration, but we're not really touching the PowerShell file for code. So this reduces the chance of a typo that somehow impacts the health of the script or successful execution. So no need to edit the PowerShell. You can work with the XML, and thank you guys for watching.